Hello, Angela Meiritz-Reid here, Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Christchurch, New Zealand. Today I'm sharing with you how I created this handmade card for this week's Global Design Project. The challenge this week is a colour one, and the colours are So Saffron, Soft Sea Foam and Blushing Bride. And I've used this stamp set, the Flowing Flowers stamp set, which has got these gorgeous floral images and these lovely sentiments. And I love fonts, so I was really drawn to these gorgeous fonts, and I love when they mix up different fonts together too. So we'll get started. I thought I would change it up and put Blushing Bride as a focus for the card base, just to see and show how different it looks just with highlighting a different colour. So I've just got my cardstock there for the base. And next I'm going to create this panel. So I've got a piece of cardstock here. At the bottom of the video, in the description box, there'll be a link to my blog, which will in turn take you to, at the bottom of the post will be a link to a written tutorial, which will have all the measurements in. So if you want to know what the measurements are, they'll all be on there. So I've got the stamp, I've chosen this big floral one, and I've got my colours here. So I'll just bring in some scrap paper to pop on the bottom. Just got one of those. These little pads that go in the Stamparatus are perfect for a little bit of backing. So I'm going to start. Still going to keep the same layout that I've used on my card. So I'm just going to stamp that in So Saffron. Bit of good inking up. Just pop that. It would help if I put the stickers on, in fact, something like this. But right, so I'm going to have to clean it in between because I'm not quite sure how much room to leave with each flower. Then I'll bring in the soft sea foam. Just recently inked this, as you can see, so hopefully that will be okay. So I'm just going to put a little bit in here so you can sort of work around the shape of the flower. Just pop that there, turn that off again, and I'm going to use the Blushing Bride now. So stamp that up. It's going to be fill up a good space in there. Even when you are copying something you've already done, it always does change a little bit. And it doesn't matter too much if there's a gap in there, because I am going to pop my sentiment over that. And then bring the So Saffron on again. Just don't want it looking too even. Bring that in there, and then just one more of the Blushing Bride, just to bring a little bit up into that top corner. So fairly quick and easy to get that stamped up, particularly because it's quite a big image, but you could use this one here even, and just try and keep, well, depending if you wanted the leaves in it, or use the smaller image. Next I'm going to run that through the embossing folder, and I've got my favourite, which is the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder, which is sadly not carrying on into the new annual catalogue. So if you haven't got that and would like that one, I recommend getting it before it's not available. And as you can see, it just creates and adds that lovely little texture into the background there. Then I'm going to add these scalloped edges. Now this scallop is from the, got it sitting here, the Penned Flowers dies. So I'm just going to die cut that. You just want 2 of those strips. As long as you've got enough to just tuck underneath the panel when it's die cut. Don't need too much. Just run that through. Let's get that going. One more of those. Sure it doesn't go over the edge. I think that should be okay. These wee mini machines are great. Perfect for these sort of dies. And then I've also got this little leaf image from the same die set. I'm just going to run that through while I've got that here, and I need 3 of those. And let's use that pointy end of my take your pick tool to poke that through. See? So, and the reason I've cut my cardstock down to the size is I find sometimes the cardstock picks up debris from the plates, so just want to keep them nice and clean. Oops, throwing that around. And last one here. You can pop these plates in the dishwasher, and that does just clean off some of the card that's stuck in them. So we've got 3 of those now. Just get out of the way. Right. Clean up my mess a little bit. 1, 2, 3, and then so what I'm going to do is just cut off those bits there we don't need. The same here. Yeah, so you can cut it to the exact same length, but I quite like having a little bit extra to work with. And then I'm just going to run a little bit of glue down here and down here. And I'd like glue because I can, gives me a little bit of wiggle room if I don't get it quite in the right spot. You need to be patient just for a few moments just to let it stick. I'm always in a hurry, so I'm Sometimes I don't often let it have enough time. And then I just like to get it sort of even at both ends too. Right, so we'll leave that just for a moment. So while that's doing, actually what we might do is get a little bit pre-prepared. So I have got the dark soft sea foam blend pen, Stampin' Blends, and I've got a length of the Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon, which is fabulous and one of my favourites, because I love that you can colour it to coordinate with any project or anyone that has a Stampin' Blends colour that goes with what you're creating. I'm just going to colour that, and a wee tip is not to use the tip, so just use the side of your Stampin' Blend for something like this. It just saves damaging the tip. You can go over it a little again if you'd like it slightly darker. So even though this is a dark pen, it is still quite light. And then I want to just tie a bow with that. So you can either do the traditional way like that, feed it through, or tie two little loops together. So I can just check that the loops are about the same size. It's good. And I can have a play around with that when I lay it onto my card, but that looks okay for now. So then I'll come back to these, and they should be set enough. Just trim that off there, trim that off there. And yeah, so that's all good to go. And then I want to add some dimensionals to the back of that panel. Just space those out just to give enough of a lift. And actually what I'm going to do is bring this bit of grid paper, and when you use your big sheets too, they're always handy for lining up things you're putting onto card. I'll show you what I mean. So just get all those off. So what I'm going to do is just line up the edge with here. So the scalloped edge just gives you a little bit of a guideline. Make sure you don't get it straight. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add this. So it might seem a funny way to do it, but what I'm going to do is pop the ribbon down, then add the happy birthday, and then tuck the leaves in behind so that I know where to go, because sometimes I find you might pop them there and then they're not quite in the right place. So I'll just pop a glue dot down there and pop my ribbon onto that. You can always add more glue dots if you need it like that to stick where you want to, because of course these will be hidden by the sentiment. So just tuck that in there and bring that so that will lie how I would like it to lie, hopefully. Now I'm going to do the happy birthday sentiment. So I've got the happy birthday stamp, just a small piece of the basic black Versamark, and embossing buddy just to make sure that doesn't stick. That one I have kept the whole piece, but this one I'm going to might just give it a little bit of a fussy cut just to change it up a little bit. Managed to get that everywhere. Right, so I'll just heat that. You just need to be careful when it's so small. Sometimes a pair of tweezers is helpful. Cut that. Sometimes it is tricky to get them straight, particularly when the fonts go up and down and round about. So that's why just a little bit of a fussy cut makes it a little bit easier. And just around here. So next I'm going to add that over the bow. So I just want to pop some of the dimensionals behind there. So I just want to avoid the bow, the knot in the bow. So if I just pop just a half at this end, at this end. And try and get it looking reasonably straight. And then I've got my little leaf dies. So another thing I do, just so I don't end up with glue everywhere, is just pop a bit on some scrap and then just pop the glue on here, see, and then tuck it in there. I just like it looking not totally stuck down. I quite like it when it's looks like it's got a bit of movement, and because what you can do is sort of scrunch things up a little bit too, so they look almost like they're moving in the wind. And this one to go in under here, that is a bit long, so I'm just going to rip off a bit there and just glue the tail end of that and then tuck that, so that's going that way. And just want to trim a little bit off here, just make that nice and even. And lastly, I'm going to add pearls to this. I thought the pearls suited this because it's quite elegant and delicate as well. And just use my take your pick tool. I might just try and find the end so I don't stab myself. And just going to add these the small seed pearls, sort of randomly tuck them in amongst the flowers. Of course, you can see it's changed a little bit just with the change of where I've stamped things. 5. Yeah, all done. So it does, it's interesting, isn't it, to see what colours stand out when you change up the background cardstock. Yeah, so be interesting actually to try it with the soft sea foam as a background, and also you could change up the colour of the ribbon. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye.